Session today is Introduction to GST. So all of us know we are talking about GST. So whenever we buy a commodity, we have to pay a tax called as GST. Now, as far as GST is concerned, it has been introduced in India from July 2017. So this is a major reform in the indirect tax system in India. This GST refers to goods and service tax. So it is a combination of tax levied on goods and services. So we call it as goods and service tax. So before introduction of GST in India, we had VAT, that is value added tax, and service tax. So under GST, we had made a combination of both goods and services under a single ambit of taxation called as goods and service tax. So this is the meaning of goods and service tax, and we call it as a smart taxation system. The reason is the system which is more successful in more than 180 countries in the world, that is goods and service tax, has been introduced in India. After seeing the fruitfulness of this goods and service tax, it has been introduced in India. That's why we call it as a smart taxation system. G refers to goods, S refers to services, and T refers to tax. So it is a combination of value added tax and services tax in a new name called as goods and services tax. Now, what is this GST? Goods and services is a form of indirect tax. So before introduction of GST, we had VAT system. VAT refers to value added tax. So any goods which is being manufactured in India that attracted goods and that attracted a tax called as VAT. So in case of services rendered, it has been taxed under service tax. Now, this GST is a form of indirect tax which is levied on goods and services. It is a single taxation which is common to the supply of commodity, that is goods, and common to the supply of services. So it is a combination of both goods and services under a single tax ambit. The reason why this particular GST has been introduced in India is that to know or to have an overall improvement in the economic growth of the nation. So when GST was introduced in India, it was referred by many of the economists stating that the particular GDP growth of our country will be increased by 1.5% to 2%. So this was the reason stated when they were introducing GST in India. It is a form of comprehensive indirect tax. So when we talk about indirect tax, which is directly tax which is directly levied, is called as a direct tax. An example, we have the income tax. Any tax which is indirectly levied on the customers, we call it as an indirect tax. So example is GST. So it is levied on manufacture, sale and consumption of goods as well as services at the national level. So before this GST was introduced, the manufacturers, they were asked to pay VAT, and even in the case of excise duty in case of manufacturer, and in case of sales we had what is called as VAT, and in case of consumption of services we had service tax. So all these has been put together in the form of GST. This particular GST has replaced most of the taxes which were there in the state and central. Now, this is GST. It is a tax on goods and services, and this particular goods and service tax is levied at each point of sale. This is very important to note, at each point of sale or provision of services. So any point of sale where there is a transactions that attracts goods and service tax. So it can be in the form of a sale of a goods or a provision of a services. So both attracts goods and service tax. In case of time of sales or providing the services to the seller, or in case service is being provided In that case, they can claim the input credit of tax. This input tax credit is one of the major reforms which that is being welcomed by most of the traders in India. So any trader who is buying commodity from a registered trader, and at the time of purchase of that particular commodity, he pays a percentage of tax. Same way, after making value addition to the commodity or the goods, when he sells a particular commodity, there is a payment of tax. So the difference of the payment of tax between output tax and input tax, that is called as, he can get a credit, and that is called as input tax credit. For that, both the traders should be a registered trader. So that is the important concept with respect to input tax credit. And by claiming input tax credit, the cost of the commodity will be really minimum low, and that benefit will be enjoyed by the consumers. So at last, the benefits will be given to the consumer. And this particular GST is more simple when compared to the VAT system, that is value added tax, which was prevailing before the introduction of GST in India. Now, the particular national level VAT, that is the name which GST was using, and now it is called as goods and service tax. So the main intention why GST was introduced was to have a one nation and one tax. That is what they called as national level VAT. The main difference that is that not only goods but also services are involved. So before the genesis of GST, we had VAT for commodity goods, and services we had service tax. But that there is a combination of both under GST. So that is a major benefit and major difference which has been brought on after the introduction of goods and service tax. The rates, most of the rates are now similar under the GST. GST, it is a system of taxation where there is a single tax. So I told you, one nation, one tax and single tax. That is the nomenclature, or that is the mantra why GST was introduced. Because when we had a taxation system, that is VAT, luxury tax, octroi, purchase tax, all these entertainment tax, we had lot of taxation system which was causing some commotion, and people were not able to understand. So in order to have a simplified system, we went for a single taxation system. So that is the reason why GST was introduced on goods and services. So it is a major reform in the arena of domestic indirect taxes in India. So when we look at the history of GST, the major reform this indirect tax has come into existence is this implementation of GST from July 2017. And this had abolished many of the other state taxes like central sales tax, state level sales tax, excise duty, service tax, value added. So both the center and the state will impose GST on almost all goods produced in India or any goods which is imported into the country. So the levy is by both goods, state government as well as the central government. Now we will look into the definition of this GST. So this act has come into existence by the Constitutional Bill of 2014, and the definition is given under Article 366(12)(a). So goods and service tax means any tax on supply of goods or services or both, except taxes on supply of the alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So except taxes on supply of the alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So the Article 366(26)(a) defines services as, services means anything other than goods. So anything other than goods is given, that is called as services. Now what is this GST? So already I told you the GST has been implemented from July 2017 and it is applicable throughout India, and it has replaced multiple cascading taxes which were levied by the central and state governments. So this particular GST has been implemented with the constitutional, that is the 101st Constitution Amendment, so 2017, and this bill has been passed in the constitution, and it is a 122 Amendment Act. So this GST is governed by a GST Council. So there is a council called a GST Council. So this council is a deciding head, and they will decide about all the matters and the rates of tax regarding GST, and the Finance Minister of India will be the chairman of the GST. So under GST, there were a lot of rates like 0%, 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%. So this 28% is with respect to top items like luxury items. In other than that, we have cess of 22% on GST is applicable on few items like aerated drinks, luxury cars and tobacco products. This is 28%. So this particular GST has replaced some of the indirect taxes, and the main reason for GST is for unification. So throughout India, they wanted to have a uniform taxation structure, and this has brought in a dramatically a change, a reshape to the country's $2 trillion economy. So this is what the expectation of GST, and it has been introduced by the 122nd Amendment Act. Now, why does India need GST? What is the reason for introducing GST? So this GST has been introduced for two main reasons. First one is to have some reform, that is the taxation system, indirect taxation system structure. They had multiple rates and multiple taxation which always caused a commotion. So, and there were uncertainties. So in order to curtail those uncertainties, the reason for GST, there is a need for implementing GST. Then because there is a multiple rates, there are multiple forms. So for VAT, there were different forms, and in respect to service tax, there were different forms. So people or the trader who are dealing, they had a lot of confusions over to which form, and they always had somebody had to go for somebody's help in order to file the returns, and so that particular procedure was little bit cumbersome, and people were really confused over. So in order to minimize or to overcome this cumbersome compliances, they wanted to introduce a new taxation that is which is more simplified and the trader friendly. So that is the reason why they went for GST. And as I told you, it has been introduced more than 150 countries, and GST was first introduced in France. So that was the first country in the world which has introduced GST. And this GST has brought in transparency in taxation. So when there is more transparency in taxation, that will reduce the tax evasion. So avoiding tax is a one concept, but evading tax is a punishable offense. So when people start evading tax, the economy will be in a very bad situation. So that is, in order to reduce the tax evasion and to bring on more transparency in collecting taxation, GST was introduced in India. The main objectives of the introduction of GST is, first one is to eliminate the cascading effect. Cascading effect refers to the tax and tax. So when there is a tax on tax, the price of the commodity will be higher. So the main reason is to eliminate the cascading effect of taxation. Second one is the ease of doing business. Before GST, I told you we had VAT and service tax. So a trader had lot of complications, or you call it as cumbersome procedures in order to get himself registered under VAT, then registration under service tax. So he has to register if he is providing both services as well as goods, then he has to register himself under VAT and under service tax. So there were a lot of procedures involved, and the doing business was little bit was more complications, because they have a lot of forms like various returns they have to file. So in order to have a ease of doing business, so the main reason for implementing GST is to have ease of doing business. Then regarding the regulation of unorganized sector, So in India, there are no proper records to state how much people are involved in unorganized sector, because India is still a growing country and we are not having records of unorganized sector. We have only the organized sector which is contributing to the GDP through the tax. But regarding regulations, so they needed some regulatory body or regulatory machinery in order to bring even the unorganized sector into the ambit of taxation. So in order to have regulations, we have introduced GST. Then the main reason is one nation, one tax, uniform taxation, and one India. So these are the mantras were said when they introduced GST. So one nation, one tax, one uniformity, or throughout India they wanted to have the same sales taxation system, GST system. So that is called as uniform tax structure. Then under GST, all the filing returns, so GST filing, there is a portal and you always go for an online procedure. So online filing of return, monthly returns is always done by the online. So all the procedures are being done by GST, and there is a network called as GSTN network. So this is a nationwide network which is being connected by all the commercial tax department, and there is a collaboration with the bank accounts of the traders with their Aadhaar number, with their PAN number, and all these has been linked. So they are trying to bring out a uniformity in the taxation system, and this online procedure is trying to implement a curtail in the tax evasion. So all these are being verified by the GST, and that is Goods and Service Tax Network. Then there is an increase in revenue. As I told you, there are no loopholes in payment or evading tax. So every person, when he is coming under the purview of tax, he has to pay GST. So by being coming under the GST ambit, they are naturally being paid tax. So one transaction is making, that will be reported, and those transaction has been watched, and there is a relationship between all these transactions, because he is trying to get input tax credit on the transaction he has made earlier. So that when the trader is being registered and all these things are done in a cyclic way, there is an interlink, and this is trying to increase the revenue, and there is a product competitiveness. So these are the objectives of GST. Now we will see the definition of business. What does it business means? Because we were talking about business. So now let us see the meaning of business. So there are different notations for the term business. So it includes trade, commerce, manufacture, profession or vocation. So that can be incidental or ancillary to the activity being carried out. It is not much with the volume, frequency or continuity or regularity, and it is based on the supply or acquisition of goods, including capital goods and services. And these activities are undertaken by central government, state government or local authority. The services rendered by a race club, services supplied by a person as a holder of an office, the admission of person to any premises, and provision of facilities to members of a club association. So these all the concepts are in the part of the concept called as business. Now the salient features of GST. So we had GST, and we have implemented GST. And what are the main features of this GST? So there are a lot of slides which I have with the salient features of GST, because we have to understand what is the reason for the GST. So it is a comprehensive tax structure, and we have stages of tax, that is called as multi-stage taxation. And GST is a destination based taxation, that is we pay the tax only when the goods reaches the customers, and we get a tax credit, and the total burden of GST always falls on the final consumers, and it eliminates the cascading effect of taxation. Now in detail we look at the salient features of GST. So as this GST is applicable on supply of goods or services or against the present concept tax on the manufacture or sale of goods or on the provision of services. So it is a main principle of GST is a origin based taxation, and it will be taxed only based on the principle of destination based. So when VAT was introduced, the principle of VAT is origin based taxation, but in case of GST, it is a destination based tax. So in India, we have the dual system of GST. So this is called as dual system, that is both the power to levy is with respect to center and the states. So it is having levy. So the power to levy taxation is with the both the central government and the state government. So in case if it is levied by the center, we call it as a central GST, that is CGST. When the states levy the tax, it is called as state GST. But in case of union territories without legislations, we would call it as UGST, that is UTGST, that is Union Territory GST, UTGST. Now in case of integrated GST, IGST, it is levied on the interstate supply, that is in between states. So IGST, integrated goods and service tax, is levied on interstate supply, that is supply of commodity between one state to another. It is including the stock transfer also. So stock transfer with respect to goods or services. This IGST is collected by the center, and the credit chain is not being disrupted. I told you, when you try to get ITC, the credit chain should continue. If there is a break in credit chain, then you cannot claim input tax credit. With respect to import of goods, that is treated as interstate supplies, and it is also subject to integrated GST in addition to the applicable customs duty. So regarding customs duty, only basic customs duty is still applicable under Customs Act. Now import of services will be treated as interstate supply. So import of goods and import of services, they are being treated as interstate supplies, and they are coming under the purview of integrated goods and service tax. So this is the proposed and levied at each stage of business. The main features of GST for better understanding, it is a destination based, that is consumption tax. So it is not based on the origin from where, it is only based on the destination where it reaches. So it is on the single tax on supply of goods and services. So from the manufacturer to the consumers, there should be a continuity of chain, and it is a single tax which is levied on supply of goods and services from manufacturing stage till it reaches the final consumers. And regarding the value addition, so it is based on the value. So credits of input taxes will be paid at each stage. So from stage 1 dealer to stage 2 dealer, stage 3 dealer, when it passes on, in each stage when there is no breakage and when there is a continuity and all the traders are registered traders, then you can get a input taxes, that is a credit for the input taxes paid. And it is applicable to stages of value chain, that is from primary, secondary and tertiary, including the retailers. The final consumer is only paying the GST. So as we already said, it is a burden which is leviable on the final consumers. So that is the final consumer who is going to consume particular commodity. So the final consumer will bear only the GST charged by the last dealer in the supply chain, and it is applicable to goods or services as against manufacture, sale or provision of service, except exempted goods. So what are exempted goods under GST is alcohol, petroleum and its products, and goods or services which are not under the purview of GST, and the transactions which are below the threshold of GST. So these three are called as exempted goods or services. So I repeat over here, exempted goods or services: alcohol, petroleum and its products, goods or services which do not come under the purview of GST, and the transactions which are below the threshold limit of GST. So all these things are being exempted. So in case of feature of GST Act, so this tax, everything has been linked with the network called the GSTN network. So GSTN network is a main body, or it is a controlling authority through which all the transactions have been computerized or being transparently verified, and it has been linked with each one others. So this tax can be deposited by the internet banking through NEFT, RTGC or debit or credit card and over the counter. So regarding the provisional release of refund to exporters, it is being done within 7 days, and the release is 90%, and the refund is granted within 60 days if everything went on fine. Then regarding TDS, that is tax deducted at source for certain strategic category, then concept of TCS for e-commerce company. So there is a specific concept of e-commerce company with respect to TCS. So this is with respect to future GST. Now we will see how the GST, the roadmap for this GST has come into existence. So I already told you it has come into existence by the constitutional bill, that is 122 or 122nd Amendment Bill. So it has been introduced in Lok Sabha. Then we will see how it has been. So in 2006 there was an announcement, that is we will introduce GST by the year 2010. Then 2009 the first discussion paper was released by the executive committee, and in 2011 we had this constitutional bill 115th bill which was introduced for the implementation of GST. And in 2013 committees were constituted, and these committees, the Kelkar committee, based on whose recommendations only we have implemented GST, and that we will see in the next slides. So 3 committee constitution by the executive committee, and the GSTN network has been set up, that is the goods and service tax network has been set up. In 2014 an amendment bill has been introduced in Lok Sabha. So unless otherwise it has been passed in the parliament, we call it as a bill. Only after being passed in the parliament an act comes into existence. So in 2016 a constitution amendment bill has been passed. So in March 2017 the meeting, 12th GST council meeting was held, and in the year July 2017 the GST has been introduced in India, that is throughout India GST been introduced. And we had that central GST, state GST, union territory GST and integrated GST, and the compensations, the compensation for the states, even the compensation are being paid to the states for the loss of revenue that has been suffered by the states due to the implementation of GST in the beginning stages. So this compensation cess bill is also being recommended in the parliament. So this is the roadmap how GST has come into existence in India. Now the taxes which have been subsumed in GST regime. So I told you there were a lot of taxation system in India which were creating some commotions, and that is the reason they wanted to have a single taxation system, and they want to reduce multiple taxation systems. So that is the reason why, or feature of GST implementation. So the taxes which has been subsumed in GST regime is at the central level, central excise duty with respect to manufacturing, that is additional excise duty. Both these are with respect to manufacturing. Then service tax, then countervailing duty, that is CVD, and special SAD, special additional duty with respect to customs, and basic excise duty is not under the GST, it is separately under customs duty, basic excise duty. Only the CVD duty, that is countervailing duty, and SAD, special additional duty of customs, has come under the purview of GST. Then surcharges and cess. So these are the taxes which have been subsumed under the central level. Regarding the state level taxes which has been subsumed, so we had the value added tax or the sales tax, purchase tax, octroi and entry tax. When any commodity is entering our state, octroi entry tax are being levied. In case of entertainment tax, luxury tax, taxes on lottery, betting and gambling. So these are the taxes which are being subsumed at the state level. Now the history of GST, how this GST has come into existence. In 2003, the Finance Minister of India in his budget introduced the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Bill, that is FRBM Bill, and this was the intention to have zero fiscal deficit. And under the Shri Vijay Kelkar, so this was the committee recommendations and the constitutions and the indirect tax, and Vijay Kelkar is one of the revolutionary and who has brought in lot of changes in the indirect tax structures, and GST is one of the reform which he has been initiated by the government, and he is one person who has given this recommendations in the form of a committee, and only GST has come into existence with the recommendation of this Kelkar committee. Next, in the due course, we had an empowerment committee, or he called as an executive committee, which is a constitution of state finance ministers. So all the state finance ministers were member of this empowered committee, which always gives the recommendations, and they were helping out with the Vijay Kelkar committee for their initiative, and always they had a meeting with the state finance ministers with the improvements which has been made at the and step by step recommendations. So it has been more than 12 years there was a negotiation between the state and central with respect to the model of GST, the share of GST, and there were more agitations when regarding to implementation of GST. Now in India, we talk about the dual GST, so the power to levy with respect to both center and the state. So we had CGST, SGST, IGST, and IGST is only on the interstate transactions. Now regarding the levy, so if you talk about the goods which are being subsumed under GST, under central excise, we had central excise duty, CENVAT, additional excise duty, and the excise duty which is levied under the Medicinal and Toiletry Preparation Act 1955, service tax, additional customs duty which is known as the countervailing duty CVD, then special additional duty of customs SAD, surcharges and cess which are levied by the center is also being subsumed, including the Tea, Coffee, Rubber Act, and the Central Sales Tax, that is CST, is also being eliminated. Regarding the state taxes, VAT or sales tax, octroi and entry tax, purchase tax, luxury tax. Then regarding the taxes which are being levied under the lottery, gambling and betting. Then entertainment tax. So unless it is levied by the local taxes, all the entertainment taxes has been subsumed, and the surcharges which are levied by the states and state cesses, which is related to supply of goods and services, they have been subsumed under the state GST. And the taxes which has not been subsumed under the GST is property tax, stamp duty, electricity duty, basic customs duty, that is duties levied at the time of import of goods into India. So basic customs duty is still under the Customs Act. Then export duty, road and passenger tax and toll tax in the nature of fees and not in the nature of taxes on goods and services. Now regarding the rates, standard GST rates, so 0% with reference to food grains, fresh vegetables, fresh milks, newspaper, hearing aids. 5% in case of commodity like tea, coffee, sugar, milk, food for babies, medicines, coal, LPG for household use, renewable energy devices. Then goods coming under the ambit of 12%, butter, fruit juices, biogas, fertilizers, candles, leather goods, utensils, tractors, electrically operated bicycles. Then toothpaste, refined sugar, cornflakes, ice cream, petroleum jelly, Chemicals and industrial intermediates are coming under 18%. Then luxury items in the case of 28%. This is the topmost slab. So from 0 we had 28%. That is the highest slab. So under that we have air conditioners, refrigerators, beauty or makeup preparations, sanitary ware, fax machines and motor cars. Now the benefits of GST. Why this GST been introduced and what are the benefits for the economy of our country? So they wanted to have a common national market. The main reason why GST was introduced was to have a common national market. So a commodity, if it is bought in one state, should not have difference in the other state. So the tax should be common throughout the country. That is the reason for creation of common market, and that is why GST is being implemented. Then regarding the flow of input credits. So in order to have a proper seamless flow of input tax credit, we have to bring all the traders into GST regime. Then regarding the reduction in logistics and inventory cost. So movement of commodity. Because of movement of commodity, the cost, the inventory cost is more high. So in order to reduce it, they have introduced GST. Then the better GST governance will have a transparency and automation. So there is a network and everything is being computerized and everything is being done through online mode. Everything is being under automation, and that is bringing a transparency in all the transactions. Then there is a parity in service and manufacturing sector. Then trying to mitigate the cascading effect of taxation. Then reducing the multiplities of taxing and bringing a broadened tax base system. That is, you are trying to broaden the tax base system. So when you try to broaden the tax base system, more people will be falling under the ambit of taxation. So that is the best taxation system. We call it as widening the tax base. Advantages of GST. So the main reason for introduction of GST is to reap out the benefits of GST. That is advantages. It removes the cascading effect, that is the tax on tax effect. Then higher threshold has been fixed for registrations and composition scheme for small business. So traders who want to fall under a composition scheme, that is the traders who are having a very small business or they are having startups or something like that, they can opt for the composition scheme. Then online simpler procedure is the procedure for filing taxes, everything is made simple and everything is done through the online mode. Then there is a lesser complication. So I told you, because of the procedures has been simplified and the return filing of return has been made more amicable for the traders, there is a lesser compliances. Then treatment of e-commerce is one of the main advantages of GST. So the definite treatment of e-commerce, that is with respect to TCS. Then increased efficiency in logistics, because it is trying to bring out the cost, that is the logistics cost, and that is bringing a better compliance with respect to logistics management and supply management. The cost will come down, which will increase its efficiency. Then regulating the unorganized sector in India. So these are the advantages of GST. So trying to remove cascading effect, then having higher threshold for registrations, then giving benefit of a composition scheme for small traders, simplified procedure with lesser compliances, treatment of e-commerce, increased efficiency in logistics, regulating the unorganized sector. So these are the advantages of GST. Now we will see the overview of GST. So under GST we have two things. So one is with the state, that is interstate supply and intrastate supply. So intrastate means within. In case of interstate means away, that is from one state to another. So under interstate supply we call it as IGST, which is levied by the central government, that is integrated GST. Regarding intrastate supply, it is between states. So it is levied by CGST and SGST, that is Central Goods and Service Tax and State Goods and Service Tax. So the power to levy is by the central government and state government. So the tax levied by central government we call it as CGST, and SGST in case